Hi guys, how you doing? John Crump here, and I am about to bring on my co-host, who is somewhat annoying sometimes. So just bear with him. It is Flying Rich.
Pompey, how are you,
What's
sir?
up, buddy? Not bad, not bad. How are you doing?
Oh, it's been a great week off. Doing good, doing good.
All right, let's go ahead and bring on our guest of the day, Jordan. What's up, Jordan?
No, no audio, man.
Can't hear Jordan.
I don't hear
You
him.
know he's best friends with Elon Musk, and no one can hear him. I don't know how that happened.
It's that new Starlink setup he's got. Did he get a
Yeah,
free
maybe.
Tesla?
I don't know. Maybe Elon would just give him a Tesla.
Still don't have Jordan. Did somebody pre-record a video of Jordan making like he doesn't have audio?
I think he might have push to talk on.
Can you hear that?
I hear you
I can
now.
hear that. Yes,
Is that all right?
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
fine.
All right, I changed it to my Bluetooth instead of my microphone.
works fine.
No, I don't know what's going on with your microphone. It looks like it might be broken.
Cool.
So, did you get a chance to meet Elon?
No, we got to sit front row, but I did. So it was fun, but got close.
It was,
So where was this? Was this actually at the gun show at Oaks?
Yeah, it was in D Hall, D and E Hall. So we take A, B, and C, and then he was kind of in the side, smaller halls.
that's cool. So, when did you find out that he was coming?
Like Friday morning. He had several places reserved and wasn't sure exactly what he was going to do. So they wanted to make sure that we were all right with it, of course, and because we're set up. The show starts Friday, so we were all set up, and so just as long as we made sure that the vendors were good in that general area where they were going to be. So
So was this I know what Oaks, Pennsylvania looks like, but I mean, is there like an auditorium? What was it?
well, it looks just like what you've seen. It's just two smaller rooms.
Oh,
They
okay.
set up a stage and they have chairs and stuff. So
Oh, all right, all right.
yeah. Then he had a big jumbotron. So he was in D hall, and then next to that is E hall, and they had a jumbo screen there, kind of like for the overflow. So
Was there a lot of overflow?
I think so. Yeah, there was quite a few people there, a couple thousand, I would guess. And then they did a Q&A. That was pretty cool, listening to kind of how he thinks about different things. And of course, he's got insider info on government-run agencies, and uh,
I bet.
it's fun to hear about that.
Yeah, he's a smart guy.
Yeah.
It's funny. I know not to like say they're on a level playing field, but Burt Rutan, when he did his space shot, the FAA was like, "Well, we're not going to authorize this or that or blah blah blah." He's like, "Screw him, I'll pay the fine." You know?
Yeah, it sounds like that's where Elon's headed. Uh, if America won't give him the pass to do it, I think he's probably just going to go somewhere else. I don't know where else you can go, but I'm sure there's
You do it offshore.
multiple other places.
Yeah, you just throw it on a boat. I mean, there have been other launch systems from boats or ships, I should say, because in
Well,
there's a smaller vessel.
you have enough money to buy a small country.
Most small countries.
Most, yeah, most large companies too, probably countries as well. Most countries. How about that?
So, Jordan, could you buy a McDonald's so Dark Crump and I can serve fries to people at the drive-thru?
Yeah, we can do that. Get a couple going.
Hey, should we announce who we have on the show tomorrow while we're here?
You kind of already
Yes.
did.
I did, but just in case you didn't see, we have Vin Miller on tomorrow, the guy that was accused of trying to assassinate Trump.
Now,
He has some new unreleased information that he's going to share with us tomorrow.
cool.
He's suing the sheriff for saying that he's a Trump assassin when he obviously not.
So, I've seen some articles about the sheriff that weren't too flattering.
Yeah, well, we're gonna get the inside scoop tomorrow.
Very cool.
Good.
So it's funny, Jordan. I know you've dealt with a lot of ATF issue. Actually, you've had a lot of escapades recently. Let's roll back. You're hanging out at the Supreme Court the other day.
Yeah, well, 2 weeks ago now,
Yeah.
Yeah,
October 8th.
you're with Heller and you're with Marine Gun Builder.
Yep, Defense Distributor was also there,
Yeah.
and then we met up with Black Hawk Manufacturing, so 80% Arms after the hearing. We didn't know they were there, and we kind of saw them in the lobby, so that was cool that we were all there. Dick Heller just kind of cruised through the so Defense Distributed was there super early, waiting in line to make sure that they got a spot, so they were number one in line,
Oh wow.
and this guy just rolls through on a bicycle, just kind of cruising through the streets of Washington D.C. and he's talking to them and just being a friendly kind of guy. And eventually he kind of scurries away and he's like, "By the way, I'm Dick Heller," and just like off into the night he rode.
So
So
did you get a dick pic?
yeah, got a few of them. Yep.
That's Dick Heller for you.
Yeah.
He's definitely a interesting cat.
So it's funny because you had a pic, one of the pics I used for the thumbnail. The only person I have not met personally is Marine Gun Builder.
Ah.
There's a bunch of guys standing. I mean, I know Dick, I know Cody, I know everybody in the pic there, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm like, I haven't met Marine Gun Builder in person yet.
Yeah, that's the first he and I have met. So that was kind of fitting to see. We've both been in this for quite some time. Well, we all
Yeah,
have, but uh, we know each other digitally, I guess you could say. And the
right.
first time we meet is on the stairs of the Supreme Court, so that was kind of fun.
So what was it like? Because I wanted to go, but it was Iraq Veteran was the weekend before. I'm like, there is no way I'm going to make this happen. So
Yeah,
what's it like? You're there. It's dark. It's cold. Did I just drop?
No,
Oh, okay.
I'm messing around with stuff.
yeah,
You're still on.
Okay.
yeah.
Messing around with stuff in the back.
So
So so basically, we pulled in. I took my family down. I wanted them to experience it if they could, and so we got there. I want to say maybe 10 o'clock at night, 10:30. We drove in. So I drove past to see, just get a lay of the land to see what we would need to do to get there and make it. And so Cody and the guys were there. I talked to them for a minute. We went to the hotel, which wasn't far, and I laid down. I don't think I fell asleep, but I laid down for like an hour and a half or so. Got up at about 1 o'clock in the morning. Got ready. Took all the girls. Eventually, we found a parking garage, which was almost next to our hotel, so we could have just parked in the hotel and walked. But uh, so we got there. Probably me and my oldest walked down. We were probably there about 2:15 a.m. or so. So we hung out until the line started building. It probably got up to about maybe 30 people by 3:30, 4 o'clock.
oh shoot.
So then the rest of my girls came down and we just all waited in line until it was time. So it ended up getting filled. There was, I think we were the only ones there for the Vanderstock case. There was a lot of college students there that get credit for a law class by attending a court case. And there were two cases that day, Vanderstock and something else that had something to do with lawyer fees or something. I wasn't really following it. I
Mhm.
didn't, it didn't particularly pique my interest, but so there were some folks there for that as well. So
So at 2 a.m., how many people are there?
it was us. So Cody and crew was like seven, me and my oldest, and then one other individual was there waiting, and he was actually a professional line sitter. I don't know if that's what you call him,
Oh,
but
okay.
he got paid to wait in line.
Hmm.
And so that woman ended up showing up probably about maybe 8 o'clock in the morning. So that was nice for
Oh, okay.
her.
And MGB, I think he
We'll
got there
talk
pretty
about it.
early too, right?
And then MGB was there. He was probably there once there was maybe we didn't see him until he came walking up the sidewalk. So there's probably maybe 35 people there by the time we saw him. I don't know when he got there, but he was there bright and early or dark and early. It was still dark in the morning, when we were there. So
So how many people do they let in?
It sounds like it varies. I think they let about 50 in for this
Wow.
particular one. But the court is packed. I don't know who all is there. Of course, Dettelbach and their folks were there, and then Vanderstock lawyers and a few of their folks were there. And then there was two or three rows of like new lawyers that were being sworn in, I guess, to the Supreme Court bar. I don't know if that's the right terminology, but
Yeah.
they
Hmm.
do kind of a ceremony for those folks. And then it seemed like a bunch of random people. I don't know if they're reporters or what, but there was a good bit of, I'd say over 100 of miscellaneous folks that didn't seem to be there for any particular reason. So it could have been lawyers for the next case too, I guess, now that I'm thinking about it. So I'm not sure, but we sat in chairs in the back. And so that was kind of, I thought we were going to get closer seats since we were first in line, plus it's our case, but
Right,
we were
right.
just kind of normal people at that point. So
Yeah. Question for you though. Uh, when you got to the Supreme Court, this is the first time you ever been to the Supreme Court. You also brought your kids. Was it important for you to bring your kids so they can see what is going on, or was it like more of, hey, we're going down to DC, we can't leave them here, we're going to bring them?
oh, it was definitely to show them how the government works. We had a big discussion of what the government's supposed to do, what the government actually does, and what we pay the government to do, and how those three things almost never intersect. So
It's
they
not
got
a
to
perfect Venn diagram.
right, right. So they got to see the inner workings to a degree of how laws are kind of created and then challenged and then overthrown based on constitutionality and different procedures and things like that. So it's going to be a great experience for them to take with them to understand what the actual real world is and not just what your high school civics class teaches you, which is virtually a fairy tale compared to real life. So
Right, right, right. So
Yeah. Another question I have is, do you know that the ATF does not give tours on the weekends?
I've actually heard that. I've been made aware, yes, recently.
Crumpy had some spare time, so he drove by 244 Needy Road to see if he could get a tour on Saturday.
I get a text message that says your friend will be at such and such an address by 11:30, and I immediately texted him back and said, "What are you doing?"
He's like, "You'll bail me out, right?" I'm like,
Yeah,
"Wait
well,
a
I,
second
I
now.
I then called Rob, the infamous chicken farmer. I said, just so you're ready, this is what's happening right now.
You did?
Yeah.
What did he say?
Said, oh my, what is happening? So
So we get to cover it, and I'll save my thoughts about the hearing for later. But what was it like in the courtroom? Did you see the judge's expressions? Were there any tells? What was that like?
yeah, that was really cool. Kind of just seeing them, watching them ask questions, seeing how they interact with each other, with the both lawyers that were speaking. Some of the back and forth was super interesting for me. Obviously, it was our case, so I have a vested interest in what is happening. Clarence Thomas was his decision was made before he walked in, before he woke up that day. I mean, his decision's probably been made for months,
Yes.
and he kind of asked a couple, whatever questions he had were two or three, maybe I forget, but they were just whatever. And then he kind of just floated around, just hung out. He was just hanging out, putting his time in till the rest of the questions were done, and that was him. So that was awesome to see that he's like a regular guy.
Well,
They're all kind of like regular people to a degree, but he seems more down to earth.
Clarence Thomas doesn't usually ask that many questions. He's kind of known for that.
Okay,
He
well, that
listens more
holds true.
than he asks questions.
Yeah.
So it seemed to me that it was about 90 minutes. Is that about right?
Yeah, probably. I think when I looked at the clock, the ATF went for maybe 45 minutes or so. They seemed to go a little long on theirs based on what we were kind of expecting like a half an hour each person, and then you know Supreme Court does their thing, and then we leave. But so yeah, it went a little long, which I was kind of surprised because I figured all the details to this are pretty well known by all of them. They've seen it several times. There's been several courts that have ruled or judged on different things. So I thought that was a bit strange, but again, I don't follow the Supreme Court that closely. So
Yeah, I hate to say it, I was not very impressed. I've covered Supreme Court hearings before, and I was like, I hate to say it wasn't that interesting to me, and I wasn't at all impressed with the dialogue going on. There were no cinematic gotcha moments between a judge and or lawyer to lawyer. It just was like, yeah, okay. What was your impression on that?
the ATF did their thing. They said what we expected them to say. Probably they they made some things sound one way when in reality they're not that way multiple times. So that was kind of frustrating because I know people watching
You're
this
jumping up and down
show.
in the back going, pick me, pick me.
Yeah, right. So that's always kind of frustrating to hear things that are not true. So um, they said what you expected to say. She really did a good job. I forget her name, Elizabeth something.
Hmm.
She's their top person, I guess, from what I've heard. So there's a reason why she did a stellar job. I think that we did well. I think it could have. I think we were expecting more gotcha moments, like you said, or more interaction with the actual details of what's going on. But our lawyer put up a great argument when they keep continually talked about readily convertible, which has, as far as I know, nothing to do with this case. This whole case is about ATF's power to re-regulate firearms,
So
and we didn't
Chevron
talk.
deference, basically.
Yes, right, exactly. And we didn't talk about that at all during this case,
Yep.
really.
Well, they tried to not go off of Chevron. They tried to say we're not using Chevron. We're not actually changing anything.
Who, ATF said that or what?
Yeah, basically they were trying to say, oh, we're just clarifying what it already says. But
Right,
I've
right, right.
always said this: nothing's changed.
Yeah, which is a total lie. I mean, of course it's changed. Look at the market. Look at businesses that have gone out of business, and we've shifted to other things, and so it's a total lie. They of course have, and the previous 50 years plus that we've had guidance in writing over the course of decades, similar thoughts, maybe slight differences here and there. We've had consistent rulings, determinations throughout those years. Now it's totally different. They went to readily convertible. They hang their hat on readily convertible because there is no way to judge and put in black and white readily convertible. If you're doing 55 miles an hour in a 55 zone, you're within the law. If you do 56 in a 55, you've broken that law. We don't have something like that here. We don't actually know what the definition of a firearm is according to the ATF. Now, we all know what the regulation is, and we can figure out, lacking these few items, this is now not a firearm. And as the justices have said before, and some of the other judges and other arguments, there has to be not a thing and a thing. There has to be a line where that crosses over to the thing that you're discussing. So they've clearly gone beyond that and the 50 plus years of regulation that we've had. So so our lawyer brought up, or Vanderstock lawyer brought up, a fantastic point that I think we've all kind of been saying, was that one hole on an AR-15 receiver makes it a machine gun.
I
That's
hate
about
to
as
I hate to claim naivete on this, but
Well,
I was like, oh frick.
well, it's not even a hole. It's a indent,
you're right.
Right, mark,
indexing mark.
anything, yeah.
If
That's
you
right.
index it, it's considered a machine gun.
Yeah, and I think you're referring to the collectors and reenactors. I want to say they're out of Ohio, the majority of them, but years ago there was a determination made that their Vietnam era replicas, they're standard AR-15s, but on the exterior they laser engraved a circle to make it look like a third pinhole with that pin installed to be as close to historically accurate as they could be. And ATF said, sorry, we consider that indexing. We consider that a machine gun. So you don't even need the hole.
Yeah.
So just a drawing on a receiver, like we've seen before, sound familiar? That turns it into a machine gun.
Ouch.
Yeah, it's they said that it can be used to as a drill guide.
Right.
So if I grab a paint marker and put a little dabble in the right spot, I've got a machine gun.
That's right. So he made a valid point there. She, of course, said, oh, we would never do such a thing. We would never prosecute somebody that would do that. And she said it multiple times. And we all know at least one person that's right now that was prosecuted for it and is in jail.
Yeah, right there. Brandon nailed it.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of ridiculous. But I did learn something about guns that I did not know from the ATF, or toys, actually. That, you know,
Oh, I know it.
cap guns expel birdshot.
Birdshot.
Right.
Did
by an explosion. She clarified by an explosion.
So I'm gonna go make a bunch of cap guns that shoot birdshot, then sell them as non-firearms. You know, just a revolver cap gun, and then be like, "Hey, you guys said that it's not a gun."
Right. At the highest court of the land.
You better call Rob Olson right now.
Yeah, I was completely shocked by that, and that there was no pushback against that either. And she said it so matter of factly, like, "Oh, we all just sit around with our cap guns that shoot birdshot."
So that's one of those things. In Jordan, you've hired people. I'm like, you hear somebody, and I'm listening to this lady talk, and she sounds like, wow, she knows her stuff. Wow, she knows her stuff. It sounds like she know. Then I'm like, what?
It's crazy.
Yeah, I'm sorry. My dog was chewing on some tree supports from a print that's on the floor. It's amazing to me that somebody that really sounds like they know what they're doing, all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, well, we all know cap guns shoot birdshot. I'm like, the fudge?
Right.
What?
Right. And so it's not so, that's is what it is there. But then she said it does not meet the definition of a weapon.
That's why I'm going to sell them. I think it'd be
not a weapon.
I can mail them right to your house.
Right.
You can carry it anywhere. 50 state legal.
I thought that sealed the deal for us and businesses like us, right? And hobbyists like us.
So I used to track this much better. What is the frame and receiver rule right now? What is the legality? Could JSD Supply sell a P80?
No. Well, with a background check, you could.
Oh, all right. So you're saying it's a regulated FFL device right now?
Yeah, the December 27th letter is valid. It's in effect right now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Don't some companies have an exemption?
No, not anymore.
Not anymore. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because when it goes back and forth, it's like my neighbor down the street. I'm like, no, that's legal as of 2 days ago, and I'm like, crap, I don't know. I'd have to look it up or ask somebody.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's very confusing. One of the things that was said that kind of pissed me off a little bit is when she said that the only use for these is for criminals.
I must be the biggest criminal in the world.
Yeah. There's not an entire industry dedicated to home building if only criminals was the market. I mean, that just doesn't connect.
I've built, I don't know how many I've built. I don't want to like overblow a number, but I've sold, I bought a bunch from you and I sold a bunch at the local gun show. And I had dads come up with their boys. It's like, yeah, let's do this. Sounds like a fun project.
Right.
I'm like, the overwhelming majority, and I don't know if I'm a good judge of character or not, were like, look to me like good, decent people that just didn't want anybody else in their business.
Yeah. Another thing I think we missed a good solid rebuttal was when they started talking about the 1960s hot rod that the neighbor's building in his garage. Would you consider this a car if it had no motor or if it had no doors or a windshield? And that's not really an apples to apples comparison. Would you call that same structure or set of parts a car if there was no frame for the car? If you only had the doors, if you only had the engine? Well, no, of course that wouldn't be a car because the frame is what the VIN would go on. So the corresponding serial number goes on the frame of the car. You can replace all the panels, you can replace all of the interior, all the wiring, the motor, the transmission, the roof, the trunk, whatever. You can replace all of that stuff, and that doesn't change the fact that it's still a 1965 Camaro or whatever the example was. What makes that thing the car is the frame, and that's what we're talking about here. And Kenji, what's her name? Kenji Brown.
Ketanji Brown Jackson.
So she
I just say
couldn't.
Tarzan.
She didn't seem to understand that a box of parts is not a firearm, but a box of parts with a finished out frame would be a firearm. And she couldn't, I don't know if she was not grasping the fact that the difference is the frame, which is what we're talking about, which is what this entire thing is about, is the frame or receiver. And it was like, building 101 in front of the Supreme Court. Like, it was a very strange question.
This is, I guess, one of the most terrifying things is people who don't have to know anything are deciding we're all right. Thomas knows guns. We know Thomas clearly understands firearms and principles of how they work, but that you have people, one, I hate to be sexist, but Sotomayor, Kagan, and Jackson do not impress me intellectually at all. I they're not required to know one stupid thing about a firearm or firearm law, and they're going to decide the future, which just drives me crazy. If I'm talking, if John was making a decision, or you or Dark were making a decision, I would be like, oh, hey, these guys know what they're talking about. But
Hey, dude.
It's terrifying to me that I mean this is the same way we got the Glock 7 law that
Yes.
against the
The
undetectable
diehard.
firearm.
If you don't know what Rich is talking about, he's talking about the Glock 7 law where I can't hear Rich.
I'm gone.
No, I can't hear you now.
There you're back.
But yeah, the Glock 7 law is basically Die Hard 2 with Vengeance came out, and Bruce Willis had a line about a Glock 7 being a porcelain gun, not a ceramic gun, not a plastic gun, a porcelain gun that could not be detected by metal detectors.
Porcelain and polymer.
That cost as much as a cop's monthly salary for a Glock. And Congress watched that movie, got all freaked out, and went ahead and banned undetectable firearms.
Yep.
So that the law basically says there has to be so much metal in a firearm.
Correct.
And thank you, Die Hard 2.
Yeah.
And still a Christmas movie.
Die Hard 2. Yep. It wasn't filmed at, but the outside scenes were filmed at. But it's supposed to be at Dulles Airport, which is near me.
Yeah. That's not too far from me either.
Nope.
But the better part of town, because Crump lives in the bad part of town.
I do that part of town. I live in the ghetto.
Yeah. Yeah. He lives in the bad part of his neighborhood.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was listening and I wanted to jump on. Well, I said I was going to jump on at 5, and then I was like, oh, hey, it's 5:30. But no, I mean,
dark time.
Yes, exactly. Y'all know. But it's interesting because I cannot tell you, like, just dealing in jigs, how many people I talk to that are literally working in this industry that all have different interpretations of what the current status is, and they're supremely confident about it. Some of them say, that they're lawful. Some of them say they're not lawful. Some of them say, I mean, some people just don't care. But there are a pretty decent amount of companies that are currently selling them. And I think it's likely, and I think Crump, you and I talked about this. I don't think the GATF is going to necessarily run after them right now, but it may depend on how this ends with
Yeah,
Vanderstock, how the
yeah,
frames and receivers case
I,
ends.
I did know a
Is that me?
No, Crumpy's roboing.
Crump, you're EV muxing. Yep. Now there's no audio. Now you're cursing EV mux.
He went full Cylon.
So I think in that conversation, I think what's likely to happen is that first off, these companies are doing it to exploit people like us for profit, because they're selling them for like $250, $279, $299, which is absurd, right? Um, Companies like JSD used to sell them for 50 to 59, $79. I mean, there were some cases you were just blowing them out, or companies were blowing them out. But I think that if it ends in our favor, they're not going to touch the companies that were selling frames. If it does not end in our favor, you bet
there.
you're behind that they are going to go after them 100%.
Yeah, they are. That was actually interesting enough. That was actually my Roadcaster Pro.
Man, it would be great if you had another one laying around.
My Roadcaster Pro 2. So interesting. I don't know what happened, but
Needed a reboot.
um, yeah.
You need to write a shell script for that.
Well, I can just
Little cron tab.
hit a button. But yeah, what I was saying is there was a company that was on Instagram that I noticed is gone. Um, I
So
just haven't seen anything from them in like a couple months actually. I just realized it like last night and looked it up. And I was like, oh, they're not there anymore.
Rich, thank you for the text message making fun of my timeliness. Sorry, Crump. Which company are you talking about?
That was Indie Guns.
Oh yeah,
That's what I figured.
I don't know if he deleted it or what.
yeah. You know,
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what's going on with that company.
I
do you
forget.
guys ever feel that we're under a little bit of a microscope? That if we ever said or did anything that could even be misconstrued as unlawful, that we would get jumped on pretty quick? I mean, I
I'm
feel like that.
sure the ATF does not like me.
I concur. It's interesting to watch companies, people that are working in that industry do things that are clearly and blatantly 100% illegal, like federally, and just post it on social media and nothing happens. But Rich makes a joke about burying things in a dog park, and they show up there with ground penetrating radar and no jokes, but yeah, I mean it's kind of crazy. But look, I mean, 99.9% of the build industry, the build community, real builders, the hobbyists, the people that are doing this for um, you know um, self defense, for self preservation, for fun, for we're we're doing this for, all lawful reasons. That 0.1% that may be exploiting this, you know, ability to build a modern firearm, in the privacy of your own home with no serial number. That is such a small percentage. I mean, we're talking about like a remarkably low percentage, and that is the story that they're spinning. Like, what do we have to do to get truth out there? That the majority of people that are building, first off, serial numbers do absolutely nothing to prevent anything.
Oh no, no.
We know
If
that.
you have a serial number on something, it's never involved in a crime, like cars or anything like that.
That's true. I actually had a dream where
Or
I
money,
drew.
money with serial numbers, not involved with crimes.
Of course, yeah, and it's not like, murder isn't illegal, right? But it's funny. I had a dream where I drew my firearm, pointed it at a bad guy, and squeezed the trigger, and it wouldn't fire because it was serialized.
Interesting.
Very interesting.
So something else I want to bring up too is she said, basically you made it sound like everyone that is in the 80% business or the homemaking business is violating the law and we're trying to circumvent the law. Well, I've never released anything without sending it for determination to the federal government, to the ATF, and they've sent back saying this either is or is not this thing you're asking about.
Yeah.
So if that were to be true, then they wouldn't have approved or granted a not firearm classification for the things that us and whoever else has, Paul and Rady, whoever has sold. So we're actually all following the law to a T. We even go so far as to ask for clarification, and that this is what we've gotten. If they don't want that to happen, then they need Congress to change the law, which they've tried, and it's not popular. It's not a popular thing to do, so the people don't want it. Congress hasn't done it. There's your answer.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, Indie Guns is in Orlando, Florida, on the north side of, let's see, Orlando Executive Airport, and the Google Street View is of the storefront is the hair spa.
I don't know. I don't know. I'm just curious.
Thanks, man. Appreciate that. Yeah, it's interesting. A lot of people have contacted the ATF for permission, been told that yes, everything is okay, and then gotten in trouble afterwards. For an example, Matt with CRS Firearms, he called the ATF, and he even had a portion of it included in one of his videos. Called the ATF, asked permission, gave several examples of exactly what he was explaining, and they said no. And not only did they say no, it's not unlawful, but they went as far as to say there's actually been other cases where that was unlawful. Here's where it is unlawful and why, and here's the way that you could do it if you are going to do it, which is the way that it was done. Basically, everyone here likely knows about the auto key card case, and he's in federal prison. So the whole asking permission for things that they just choose to change their mind on, that it's absolutely absurd. And it seems that they almost exclusively go after people that are just freedom-loving, regular dudes and not actual criminals that are hurting people.
Of course they do. Well, we do have a question that has nothing to do with this, and it's does Gideon Optics have any new optics for pistols? And they do, because I have one upstairs. Even though I don't have an MOS Glock, I'm going to have to buy it. I'm going to buy an MOS Glock now.
The MOS, is it out? Is it the direct MOS mount?
I have one.
Yeah, it's out.
All
With
MOSs. All MOSs.
competition window.
Oh, dude.
Yeah, I have one. I have one right upstairs.
I was waiting for that one, man. That's the MOS direct mount is
Yeah,
money, and it not having to use a plate brings it even lower, so you don't have to use ridiculous sights. You can use standard height sights, and it is just like, and it's a huge window. You could watch like a big screen. You can watch it like a big screen TV. It's
yeah,
that thing is sick.
yeah. It's a good one. We
Yeah.
have a carry version on its way too, and then we'll have the same thing in RMR as well. So if people don't like the large circle of the Omega, they maybe want a more square traditional style. We'll have it available probably towards the end of the year.
Nice. Yeah,
It's
you
called
guys.
the Granite.
Yeah, the
Nice.
Granite.
Now, is that the prototype you had at GOA Goals?
Yeah, probably. Yep.
Yeah, I think that's the same one. And you guys also have a large window RMSC cut.
Yeah, that'll be by the end of the year is the
Yeah,
plan.
that's super cool. Like for
I think
folks out
there's
there that
one other important
oh,
thing.
go ahead.
What
Go
is
ahead,
that
Rich.
little slabby thingy on the side that looks like a disc would go in there?
That's so you can burn CDs with your
Yeah,
optic.
There's a
Oh,
it's got
battery.
light
no
scribe on
way.
it, so you can put the disc art.
So you don't have to unscrew your optic to change the battery?
Only if you want to.
I mean, you can.
Yeah, that's something we're trying for everything, or we will have on everything. Is you won't have to remove your optic to swap out the battery. So, trying some different things. I mean, there's only so many ways you can put a battery onto such a small
For sure.
item. So, we chose to go with the side mount for these ones. We have some top mounts, so it just depends on how much real estate we have to fit the batteries.
So, Jordan, I don't know if you know. Yeah, I know you know. So, Dark and I are partners in a knife company and working with China, sourcing things from China. How hard is it to get these types of things done? Like, hey, I got a new
Um,
idea. I want to do it this way.
yeah. So it's not hard once you find the right people, but finding the right people is like the needle in the haystack, it seems.
Mhm.
So
Now, I know this guy, Tim Walls, goes to China quite often. Have you worked with him?
yeah, we've talked about hiring him as a broker, as a liaison for us, but he's been busy flailing around doing different things. I'm not quite sure. So
And mind you, Tim Walls was pheasant hunting because he was hungry for dinner, and Donald Trump put on a publicity stunt, staged
right,
publicity stunt.
right, right. With
Yeah.
his
Uh,
the
uh,
A400.
Oh,
yeah,
dude, I was about to say.
which is illegal to hunt where he was with that gun.
Because it had
No
too many
way.
rounds,
Yes, it holds too many rounds.
I
Oh
love
yeah,
that.
what the
and he didn't have
A400?
a permit.
I don't know how many. How
Wow.
many does it hold? Five or six or something?
Yeah, you only allowed to hold. You have a gun that holds three where he's
Three.
hunting
Yeah,
it.
2 + 1, right?
Yeah,
I think if I'm not mistaken, I know the A300 Ultima is 7+1. That's a tactical model. The 400 I think is like 4+1 or 5+1, something like that. So that is not a hunting shotgun, and the gorgeously blue anodized
Yeah, it's
receiver that
nice.
had never seen the light of day
Oh,
outside of that
he
moment.
was using it a lot when he was shooting skeet on a regular basis. He's had it for years.
I was waiting to hear him say like, "Oh, this is the same gun I used to hunt with when I was a kid." I was like waiting for it, like,
Right.
yeah, that gun
yeah.
that came out
The,
3 years ago.
the A400 can either be 3+1 or 4+1.
4+1. Okay.
And what I'm always finding remarkable, and don't get me wrong, I fault Trump out on this also, is everybody at that hunt had brand new gear. That gear, they just cut the tags on and threw it on the people.
Let
Right.
let's let's call it what it is. Let's call it a photo shoot. It is not a hunt. And you know what? If you guys, I don't know, do you guys watch the Sean Ryan show at all?
No, because I got you to
Occasionally.
tell me about it.
So, on the Sean Ryan show, a couple of guys that run an organization were helping people in North Carolina, and these people that are literally dying, right? They are trapped. Their roads are totally shut down. Bridges are down. Like, I mean, these people are literally. I mean, they were dying, and they are literally trapped and stranded. No food, no water. Like, and apparently the Kamala Harris
All right.
allegedly.
Let me cut you off there, Dark. Sorry.
Oh, sure, go ahead.
That turned out to be false.
What turned out to be false?
The Sean Ryan thing. Sean Ryan made a video saying, "Hey, I looked into it. It wasn't true."
The photo op.
Yeah,
So you're saying that them saying that an AC-130 was loaded with goods to get delivered to North Carolina, they did a photo op and then pulled her out of there and then unloaded everything and put it back into the warehouse. That was not true.
that's not true. Sean Ryan actually confirmed it.
Really? Okay. All right. I
Yeah,
was gonna say that.
he looked into it. He looked into it, and it turned out that it was.
Well, and that's why I started this with allegedly that two
Yeah,
men on a show said allegedly, because
yeah,
you never know. But
yeah.
if they were, would that surprise you? Right? Like, I mean, come
No,
on.
it wouldn't. It wouldn't. It's believable. I mean, I think that's the whole thing. It is
Yeah.
believable, but
That
he put out a video where I guess the National Guard sent him like the records of the flights, and he looked it up on Flight Track and talked to people that were actually on there.
gotcha. The sad thing is that it's totally believable. Also,
Yeah,
my whole thing was like, these are all photo shoots, photo ops. They're all, so it wouldn't have surprised me if that
Well,
was
I would have
indeed
been
true.
upset if Kamala was seen throwing paper towels at Puerto Ricans, because that would have been offensive. Oh wait, never mind. That was something else.
Uh, I
My
didn't see that.
father-in-law, God rest his soul, was mad at Trump for throwing paper towels at people.
I feel like there's some context missing from that.
The Puerto Rican hurricane, they're all shipping stuff in there. Trump shows up and he's throwing, there's piles of stuff and he's throwing it at the people, and somehow that was bad because of all the injuries from getting hit by paper towels.
I love how the whole racist card is pulled on everything, but then they say, you know what? We need illegal immigrants so they can do all the jobs, like working at McDonald's, working at Walmart, working construction. Who's going to build the houses? It's like,
Yeah.
do you
Who's
not
gonna-
see the irony in that in itself is racist?
Well, on the
Right.
show, it was Osborne's daughter that said, who's going to clean your house?
Yeah. Who's going to pick the produce, and it's like all this terrible stuff. It's like nobody sees this as a race baiting.
No, because they're giving them jobs.
Yeah.
That's not racist. They care.
They're allies. Yeah, they care. They care more than the rest.
Yes,
So that's why.
allies. I love
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
terminology.
imagine that.
You're cutting out again, Crump.
Got to reboot
So
that roadcast.
so
I know it's. I got to reboot my thing. My roadcaster. I've already rebooted it like 3 times. It keeps on locking up for some reason.
So Jordan, what's next for you, man?
Who knows?
Rockets in space and colonizing Mars. Any thoughts on that?
Hmm.
Yeah, Elon's got that covered, man. He loved all about the Mars stuff. Told us it's going to be a 6-month ride. Anybody can go if they want to. It eventually. They're going to put a space station on the moon that you can go to and walk on the moon and leave from there to go to Mars. I don't know. He's pretty amped about it, but I'll be staying here.
Yeah, I'll be staying here. How much you want to bet the people that are going to, the moon for the first time, or Mars, or any stuff like that? How much do you want to bet that they're going to have the implant in their brain, the Neuralink implant in their brain?
Crump's already got it.
I know Crump is all about that. He's like, I don't want to be the dumbest one at the dinner table.
No, I'm just trying to fix my roadcaster. I gotta reload the software on it. I guess
Maybe it needs a microchip in its brain.
maybe. What's wrong with having implants, man?
What kind of implants we talking about?
Like in your head? I got an implant in my head. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I don't know. If there's one thing that Crump has on a consistent basis, it's headaches. I don't want to add anything in my brain just based off of my
Well,
fear.
well, that's why I have my implant. Is because of the headaches.
Wait, you spent 20 years of your life adding things to your brain, Dark.
Only 20 years? Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I couldn't bring myself to do that. It doesn't matter what the benefit is. It's like you'll be the smartest person. This will
I know.
eliminate lies.
I'll work the
Also,
fried machine at McDonald's.
yeah,
But if you couldn't walk though, if you're paralyzed, I think you would probably do whatever you could to get
sure,
something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
of course, yeah, yeah.
So
If
you're saying they're
I
going to make us quadriplegics and then offer us,
And then yes, you got it.
as government
Yes.
does,
no,
to break your leg
see,
and then offer you the solution?
guys, this
Right.
is government, right? This is when government, partners with private big business, right? So what they'll do is we'll have this crazy huge phenomenon of like all babies after 2030 are going to be born paraplegics, and we'll have no explanation as to why, and then they'll come out with the solution, right? But they of course would have nothing to do with the problem. They didn't do that in the
Right.
future. Sorry. So the frame and receiver case, they
Oh, so, yeah. So Night Strike asked super earlier, and I want to address it. He asked if we are going to lose this 80% case. So I don't think we are. I think if you take a sum of all of these cases we've seen recently with all of these same justices, they know what they ruled on the Chevron case. What I forget which one that was. They know how they ruled on Bruin.
Enterprises.
Yeah. Lopert, yeah. So we've stacked all these wins. I don't think it'll be a 6-3. I think it'll be a 5-4, and I think it's going to be pretty narrow based on the APA, Administrative Procedures Act, and I don't think that they're going to try to touch as best they can the firearm stuff.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that's going to be a big issue for Armed Scholar, but I think 5-4 is definitely still a win that we can live with. And I think when did that one go over everyone's head? No. And I think and I think sorry. I think that
Not a
we're
6-3 win.
likely
You don't think it's going to be a 6-3
yeah, that's
decision?
Sweeping. Yeah, did we
that was the
sweep
joke
that?
that I did a
Yeah.
minute ago. But the in all likelihood, I believe and I pray that I actually haven't prayed specifically for Vanderstock. I'll be honest about that, but I shall moving forward. Anyway, I believe that we'll likely win this just on the APA alone, the Administrative Procedures Act. Looking back at the same similar types of cases with the same justices, like you said. So I basically just said what you said with an accent.
No, I liked it.
Thank you. I've been working on that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it didn't go as well as I thought it was gonna go. It's gonna come down to two justices,
Hmm.
Barrett and Roberts.
Yeah. And Barrett said something. One of her opening lines, I don't remember if it was the first time she spoke or the second time, but she said something to the effect of, these ghost guns are dealing with this problem. She called them a problem. And it wasn't like an aggressive tone. It was just kind of like, I don't know if she was playing to the ATF when she said it or if she actually thinks that it's a problem.
I think she was posing that as a question to
Yeah,
the
maybe.
I,
ATF.
I don't know. I don't know because she also said that um she also said that when Robert or not Robert Alito was going off about his omelet comparison.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Do I have an omelet if I have a?
Yeah.
But she was like, well, these are more like Hello Fresh boxes.
But you still don't have an omelet.
Yeah.
The Hello Fresh, and people are like, oh yeah, that's omelet then. And I'm like, the fudge it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, not an omelet. It's
I
an omelet when you take the time and the
Turn the stove on.
utensils and the stove and
Mix
the
it. Yeah.
energy and put that. Then you know what it's like. Okay, if I go buy a grocery bag of sugar and flour and oil and whatever, like, is that a cake?
Right.
We all know the answer to that, right? Like it's And honestly, this whole like you found a loophole and we complied
Right.
with law as it is written, has been written by Congress. And you know what? If Congress actually, meets, and like you said, this has happened in the past where they didn't do anything, right? A lot of the GCA is broken language. It's incorrect, right? The AR-15 lower would not technically be the
Right.
serialized portion of the firearm based on the way the 1968 GCA is currently. So what do we serialize the upper and lower, or
No,
neither, or
No,
it should be
I don't
neither
have
'cause
my 50 right here,
of
but
course it should be
normally
neither,
my
no,
50 is a 2 serial number gun.
which
Both the
is
upper and the lower are serialized.
please don't get me started on that. That
So,
is
in the thing, first off, in the GCA, when they're talking about readily convertible, what they were talking about was these Italian starter
Right.
pistols coming
mhm.
over that had a lead bead that you could poke out with a dowel.
Yeah,
That the thing was a firearm,
it was a
was
firearm prior.
rendered
Right.
safe or whatever, and was readily convertible to being a firearm again,
Which
Again, which it
yes,
was to start
yes,
with.
which
returning to
exactly.
the state of being a firearm.
Right.
Which, by the
So
way, none of that was a problem prior to gangs in, I think it was California or whatever the case was, where they had like assembly lines of dudes that were cranking out guns they just bought from another country, and they were just making, I mean, I think it was hundreds of guns, if not dozens and dozens and dozens. So I mean, it doesn't become a problem until they're like, "Oh, freedom, we must stop that." But those
Yeah.
those people were also like, doing very bad things with those firearms, apparently,
Right. Allegedly.
allegedly.
where's the bar?
Yeah. Where is Sabar?
I
He
have a
came on the show.
Allegedly.
He came on my show a week or so ago.
oh,
Oh,
really?
nice.
Missed it.
I talk
Yeah,
to him from time to time on Instagram, so he's still out there.
yeah, he's a good dude.
What else? Yeah, there's another question on here. Alan something. Where's Alan?
I can't see the chat, unfortunately.
You can click
So
some buttons and see it.
Alan
my
asked something like, if we win, does P80s get put back on the shelf somewhere? He's asked that. So
I saw that.
theoretically, yes, but P80's out of business, and I don't know what is. Yeah, there you go. I don't know
I
what's going to happen.
I know who bought them. Bought the. Remember how we were talking about?
Okay.
Do you know Jordan?
I have a pretty good idea, but we can talk offline if you want.
Yeah, because I know who bought their stuff.
I received paperwork that literally says who bought them,
Oh, nice.
because they said that I owed them money, and I was like, I don't owe you a penny.
No,
Funny.
no, they didn't buy them.
No,
No,
is it 3 characters?
ATF bought them?
No, that would be, honestly, I'm surprised they don't think the way they think is like, let's cause this problem, at least temporarily remove these from the hands of people, and then hopefully take everyone out of business. And if we lose, whatever. We at least cause all this havoc and cause all these problems.
with that we're out of here. So and people can follow Jordan at Gideon Optics, Patmo Slides. What else? Gideon Optics, Patmo
Eagle
Slides,
shows?
KFC Supply, Eagle Show,
Eagle shoes,
Big Reno
yeah.
shows.
Did you say
Interplanetary
Patmos?
deliveries.
Did
Yes.
you say
Yeah.
Patmos? Yeah. And also, guys, I just want to add this really quickly. If you run optics on your guns, if you do not have a Gideon, you are missing out on a huge opportunity to get really good equipment at a really good price. We're talking sub $200 for an optic that will run. I mean, I don't even know how many thousands of rounds the turkeys put through that alpha, but they just beat the piss out of it. And
And,
yet definition knives.
and go to Definition Knives. All right. See you guys later. Bye.
And guys, don't forget